Mike Dell's World number 202 for July 5th, 2013. And today I'm going to play a recording I did a couple of days ago from the road, at least to start out, and probably a little bit more from the studio after this recording. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. From beautiful Northwest Lower Michigan, this is Mike Dell's World, number 201. It's July 3rd, 2013. And I'm coming to you live, as it can be, from the minivan studios. I don't know what to call it. I'm driving down the road, heading up to St. Ignace, Michigan, which is just on the north side of the Mackinac Bridge, the gateway to the Upper Peninsula. And delivering a package up there. So they just left Traverse City, actually, in between Williamsburg and Kalkaska, in case anybody's keeping track. I don't remember when the last time I did an audio podcast. It's been a while, number 201, when I announced that Mike Dell's World is back. And I switched my audio blog feed to this one. And those of you who've been following along probably did not notice the change in your iTunes and or podcatcher of choice. Although I don't know if I'm on Stitcher yet. I gotta check on that. I should be on Stitcher. I was before. But who knows? Anyway, it's a beautiful day, sort of. Kind of high clouds. Kind of sunny in times and not so sunny at other times. We're not supposed to have any rain till maybe later this afternoon. But temperatures in the 80s. You know, kind of a Chamber of Commerce day. It's pretty good because Cherry Festival is ongoing. It's the first time in, 85 years or whatever that the Cherry Festival actually started in June. Started last Saturday and goes through this upcoming Saturday. So it'll be interesting. I've avoided most of it. The only thing I'm going to be participating in that's not even directly Cherry Festival related is the Beach Bums game on the 4th of July. That's our little local minor league baseball. But they always have a Veterans Appreciation Night, and we always go to that every year, and it's pretty cool, and they always have a good fireworks display afterwards, and it's just a good night at the ballpark. And I think they're going to have some airplanes flying over this time. They had the festival air show last Saturday, but I think some of the teams stuck around. I don't know. I don't know the whole thing. Hopefully the audio quality is okay. I'm using now without looking at it, I can't tell you what it is. Audio Technica, I think, ATR something or another microphone. I don't know. I got it sent to me for evaluation, so I am evaluating. It's one of those USB and or XLR. I've got it plugged in via XLR into my Roland recorder, as I normally do while I'm on the road when I want to record. Shouldn't sound too bad. I think I've used it a couple other times on the road, and the 6 or 7 episodes of this that were my audio blog. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I haven't had much luck with it in USB mode, ironically. I don't know if that's ironic or not, but I tried plugging it into my Macintosh and using it, and the audio just seemed really low. I don't know if that's just the way I have things set up on the Mac or what. I'm going to test it on the PC laptop that I have before I give it a final evaluation. But seems like a nice mic, and I think they're fairly cheap, like $25-$30, or maybe $35. I don't know, on Amazon.com. If you want, I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to check that out at Amazon. But then you can get them elsewhere. B&H has them, and Guitar Center. I think most of the places you get audio equipment and video equipment would have them. I don't know how much road noise you're getting here. I'm monitoring on my headphones, and I do hear a little bit in the background, but hopefully it's not objectionable. Let's see what's been going on. It's been doing some driving. Got to go down last week to Ford to their test track and drive a bunch of 2014 Fords, along with a couple of Toyotas, a Nissan. Forget what else they had there to compare with, but that was a lot of fun, especially the off-road track. That was a ball. Took a F-150 four-wheel drive. Nothing fancy, just their standard four-wheel drive pickup, and took it around their off-road course, and I mean it's pretty intense, especially the side slope. When you get on a side slope, the gauges on the front, in front of the steering wheel there's a little LCD panel above the speedometers and all that, speedometer and tachometer, that turn into a grade and tilt gauge when you're going up a steep hill or down a steep hill, or if you're going on a side hill, and it's got a little red line there, and supposedly if you go beyond that you're in danger of tipping over. But the engineer I was with said, well, it'll go a little further than that, and we took it right up to that red line, and I mean this thing was just uncomfortably tilted over on the side hill, and we went up some really steep hill, and at the top, right back down an incredibly steep hill. And they got this thing called descent control. You hit the button and it manipulates the brakes, and you don't even have to touch the gas. You just get it rolling down the hill, and then you don't touch the gas or the brakes, and the thing goes down at a reasonable speed. You get to the bottom and you turn that off, and it goes away the normal way. And also got to go across a rock crawling area, and it's pretty amazing for a stock pickup. That was some pretty gnarly rocks, and we didn't bottom out maybe but once, and I guess they got skid plates in the right places for that sort of operation. I know I wouldn't take my own truck through rocks like that unless I absolutely had to, but it was some fun. I got to drive the new Explorer, Escape, and Fiesta, the 2014 Fiesta, which is all brand new. Got to drive all three of those on an autocross track, which is just a bunch of cones out on a huge parking lot. But you could really get going, especially it surprised me with the Explorer. That's a fairly sizable SUV. It's not their full-size one, but it's the mid-size, maybe a little bigger than mid-size SUV. And that thing handled as well as a car would, I would think. The Escape, I'd driven those before. Driven the Escape out in San Francisco, and got about 200 miles on one of those back before they actually came out. That's a capable little vehicle, and of course they had a Toyota RAV4 and a Toyota Highlander there for comparison. So took those around the autocross track also just to compare. And to be completely honest with you, I didn't notice a heck of a lot of difference, but we didn't spend enough time in any one of them to really get a good feel for them. But it was kind of neat. Definitely they got their handling figured out. The most fun, I think, was the little Fiesta. They redesigned it. Well, actually, they probably didn't redesign it. They just brought the European version over here instead of making a different version for the States. And that was fun because it had the manual transmission, and that's just a nimble little car. Got it around the track pretty good order. It took about 2-3 laps with that, and then took it out on the road and drove about 20 or 30 miles just around Detroit there. They had a little course set up, and around not Detroit necessarily, Dearborn, which is a suburb of Detroit. And that was interesting. Got to drive the Fusion plug-in hybrid, and got to drive that on the low-speed track, they call it. It's about a 2.5 mile circle track, kind of like a NASCAR track, but of course a little more tame. And then what was funny about that is they got a high-speed track that kind of goes inside the slow-speed track, and engineers were out on the high-speed track running stuff around and saw a bunch of vehicles all painted weird camouflage with panels covering up certain areas of the vehicle. And so there's some testing of prototype vehicles out there. That was kind of interesting to watch as you were either waiting to drive or driving on the slow-speed track. Slow speed being 45 or so. But I went around that track, I want to say 4 times, and I don't think the engine ever started on that Fusion. You couldn't hardly tell because we had the air conditioning cranked, and so the noise level was, the air conditioning was making noise. It was kind of a hot day. The other thing that was kind of neat is they had a heavy-duty truck out there. I think it was an F650 or something like that, and the guy was running around there doing probably about 65, 70, and must be doing a mileage run or something. But it was just the cab and chassis. It wasn't there's no box on it or flatbed or anything like that. It'd be some vehicle like you would put a big box on, or maybe a flatbed or like a U-Haul truck or something, but it didn't have a box on it or anything. But he was going around, and that was kind of neat to see. And of course, got to see some of the other upcoming vehicles. The one I was most interested in is the Ford Transit vans. Ford is doing away with their E-Series van after 2014, so I guess they're going to make them one more year, and the new Transit van that's going to replace it is coming out sometime in 2014, so there'll be a crossover year where you can either get the E-Series, the traditional vans that you're used to, and or these new European-style vans. Kind of look like a Dodge Sprinter, or a Freightliner Sprinter, or Mercedes Sprinter. They're all the same thing. But kind of look like a Sprinter, only I think, they look a little better. And Ford, of course, puts their face on it, the grill and headlights and whatnot that, everything else that they're making these days has. And that was kind of cool to see that up close. Got to get in, sit down, look at it, see how much room is in it. They make them in 3 lengths, like... the wheelbases, 3 different wheelbases, or 2 different wheelbases and 3 different body lengths, plus 3 different heights. You can have, just the standard height, the medium height, and the extra tall. And the extra tall, it's got about 7.5 foot on the inside. So if you're standing in there and you're 6 foot tall, you still got lots of headroom. But that'd be really handy for the courier business. Thinking, in the future, it might be worth having. Of course, Sprinters, it's been kind of the standard bearer for that sort of work, and they're still making those, Mercedes. And then Dodge is coming out with one called the ProMaster, Ram, I guess, now, their truck division. But they're coming out with a big van like that called the ProMaster, which is a revamped Fiat van from, I guess, from Italy, but from Europe at least. And the weird thing about that one is it's front-wheel drive, and I don't know how that'll hold up. But, they've been using them over in Europe for a long time, and they probably all hold up just fine, but be interesting to see. One thing about that Dodge, though, is it is ugly. I mean, ugly. The front end is hideous, but the capacities and the specs that they come out with, still looks pretty handy, I guess, would be the thing. But I like the looks of the Ford better, and I'm kind of leaning that direction if I'm going to go with something like that at some point in my courier business. but who knows? Right now I'm sporting the Chrysler minivan, and it's doing the job. Still have the Subaru. Haven't used it a whole lot for the courier business because the van gets just about the same fuel mileage, and it's more comfortable. And it's quieter. And Subaru's awesome in the winter. I can't disparage it at all. And it gets good mileage, and of course it's 4-wheel drive, and it's got more creature comforts than this van does. Just has more luxury to it. It's got heated seats, another winter thing, and it's got remote keyless entry. This doesn't. It's just a little bit more well put together. Well, that isn't the right term, is it? It's better built. It feels better built than this van. This van doesn't feel bad, and certainly these things are cheap enough because there's 8 gazillion of them out there. So, the parts for this are going to be a whole lot cheaper than the parts for the Subaru. The only thing is I'll probably need more parts. But so far, knock on wood, it's been good, and I don't think I've mentioned this. Maybe I have, but one of my coworkers that owns a similar van, his is a '99 model. Mine's a 2006, but they look pretty much the same on the outside. His is a little different on the inside. They redesigned the dash. Plus, his is a more deluxe version, so it has some more creature comforts. But he's got a little over 400,000 miles on it. And they always told me that the transmissions are the weak point of these vehicles. So, I've been prepared for the transmission to go out at some point. And, of course, I haven't driven it long enough. Had 120 on it when I got it. And I do believe the transmission was changed once already. And probably they put the upgraded, better one in it. Or at least hopefully they did. So hopefully I won't have to worry about that. But I'm prepared. Transmissions for these are not nearly as expensive as, say, for the Subaru or a Toyota or whatever, some vehicles that don't normally lose transmissions. So we'll see. But this guy, Brad, he's got, like I said, over 400,000 on his 99 model Caravan, and he's got the original transmission and the original engine. He's had other things, of course, he's put alternators, and he had to put a steering rack in it. He's done the brakes and, done a drive shaft or two, and, just the normal wear items. But this is still going. Every spring he breaks out the Great Stuff foam and some white paint and fills in the rust holes and paints everything white, so from 20 feet away it looks pretty good, which is all that matters. Like I said, it's a work vehicle, same as mine. I look at it as a work vehicle, and it doesn't bother me. Now, my GPS is complaining because I'm taking a shortcut that it doesn't like. But those of you who live around northwest Michigan know that to get to Gaylord, it's a whole lot closer if you take Alba Highway instead of Michigan 32, which is what all the GPSs will want you to do. So I just turned on Alba Highway, and it's trying to get me back to US 31. So see, this guy just blew through this 4-way stop sign ahead of me like it wasn't even there. He didn't even see it. Oh well, it's a 4-way stop sign. Nobody was waiting, but still. I'm in the thriving metropolis of Mansalona, or as we affectionately call it around here, Mansaltucky. Jeez, what is it with this turn? GPS doesn't usually complain that much. Oh, I know what I did. I am wrong. Oh well, this will work. I didn't take Alba Highway. I took County Road 38. Or 30, I don't know what it is. But it'll get me there. Just a little off the beaten path. This actually goes up past the Weather Service station in Gaylord, or south of Gaylord, up on a big hill. And it's probably 5 miles longer going this way, but it's all right. What I'm delivering isn't super time critical, which is good. I'm actually delivering a piece of medical equipment to a campground up there, the state park in St. Ignace, Michigan. Apparently a tourist who relies on a piece of medical equipment, not urgently relies on it. So it's not, like I said, it's not time sensitive, because as long as it's sometime today. But anyway, his piece of equipment malfunctioned, and the replacement we had in our warehouse. So heading up there to replace his machine, and that'll keep him going, I guess. But so yeah, I guess my GPS was correct. I didn't turn down the right road, but that's okay. There's lots of ways to get there. Where was I? I guess we're talking about vehicles. I always like to talk about vehicles. It seems to be a topic that comes up a lot. I spend a lot of time in them, as you know. And I spend a lot of time thinking about them and all that. Jeez. And it's really easy to go over the speed limit on this road. For a 2-lane county highway, it's a pretty good 2-lane county highway. So I slowed it down, put the cruise control on. That's what I get for yakking and driving, I guess. But this is kind of hands-free, so it's not like I'm looking down at stuff and all that, but obviously got a little distracted. So let's see, what else has been going on? I've been working fairly steady. Been, of course, doing a lot of traveling, at least around the state, which has it's been nice that the summer so far has been a little on the mild side. It hasn't been super hot. We've got a fair amount of rain in the spring, although last month didn't get a ton up here. Downstate has gotten drowned pretty good, but around the Detroit area, I've been in Detroit now 4 times in the last couple of months. 1 time on 2 times on purpose, and 2 times for work. I guess the Ford trip would be considered for work too, I suppose. I guess that'd be my Geek News Central work. I should have a blog post over there at some point about the Ford trip, although Todd went also. It's Todd Cochran from Geek News Central. And he also went, and I think he's going to put up a video. I don't know. He brought all his GoPros, and I think he outfitted some of the vehicles with GoPro cameras when he was driving. And that's what I need to get. That's what I should get, a GoPro and a good mount for my video blog, my vlog, my YouTube channel. I have been posting over there. I haven't done an audio podcast, but I've done 6 or so video posts. I always put them at MikeDell.com, but you can also find them at my video channel. It's youtube.com/users/MGDell. And I think just youtube.com/MGDell. I don't know. MGDell's the channel. You can go check that out. I've been posting little 5-10 minute videos, mostly from the car. Today I'm gonna record another one today later on as I'm crossing the Mackinac Bridge. Of course, I did one. The last one was crossing the Mackinac Bridge also, but I'm gonna do another one crossing the Mackinac Bridge using a different camera setup, and I'm gonna use this microphone. So I brought my Kodak ZI-8, and it's got a microphone input, and I've got my windshield mount, so going to see if I can get that framed up, and it'll be a little better because when I use my phone, I use the front-facing camera on the phone, and I use the microphone in the phone instead of an external microphone, and I got to hold the camera up with my hand. Well, this way I won't have to hold the camera. It'll be on the windshield. And it should eliminate what I call lip flap. It seems the ZI8, or not the ZI8, but the Android phone using the webcam or the front camera doesn't sync the audio perfectly. I don't know if it's just the camera, the software, or is it or it's Premiere. When I import that, maybe the frame rate's off or something. But right at the beginning, it's the lip sync is okay, and then you get a little further into it, and it starts to get off kilter, and it kind of looks weird. But I'm going to see if the ZI8 works better for that. And it should be a little bit better video, although looking at me driving down the road probably isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but I find it handy, especially with my phone. I just pull it out, hit the button, and go. I don't have to set up any equipment and all that, so it makes it more likely that I'll actually do something. I seem to have this problem with taking unplanned hiatuses from podcasting, and I don't particularly know why. I really do enjoy doing it. Or maybe it is I enjoy having it done, but for some reason I just don't get started. I haven't recorded in the studio in the basement in quite a while. I'm all ready to go on that. I want to get Geek of the North going as a true weekly podcast. I've been fiddling around with that for 3 years, and I think I'm up to 46 episodes or something. So my average of weekly isn't quite working out, but it is in the back burner. You know me. Procrastinate. Whoops, I just accidentally hit the off button there for a second. This has got an on-off switch on the microphone. I wish it would start and stop the recorder. And that way I could just hit off, and then when I wanted to record again, I just click it back on, but it doesn't quite work that way. This microphone seems a little more directional. Still talking geeky stuff. It seems a little more directional than the what are they? Behringer XM 8500s that I normally use, which is basically a Shure SM58 clone. Although they're a lot cheaper. I think last I saw they were $15 or something for those. But they'd be great stage mics, and they're not shabby for normal like interview mics, like what I'm using now. This ATR or whatever. Auto Technica, I believe. Mic. I wish this was just a little bit less picky with the mic placement, because like I said, I'll talk along here and I'll move it away, but it's only like 45 degrees out, and I can just hear it cut right back. So if you hear that, that's just me not holding the mic right. And what is it? This is an open road here. Back to complaining about traffic. It's an open road here. There's nothing going on. There's two cars, me and another car, and another car in front of me wants to go 48 miles an hour in a road that's good for, well, it'd be good for 70, but 55 is the speed limit. Be nice if they'd go at least the speed limit. But, oh well, it's the way it goes. So anyway, I'm going to pause this. You won't notice it, but I'm going to pause this and pick it up a little later down the road. Or maybe back in the studio. And it's a couple days later, and I'm in the studio. You probably noticed the difference in audio quality. Anyway, it's been an interesting couple of days. I made the trip back south from St. Ignace, no problems. And yesterday, kind of had a lazy day. It's the 4th of July, and then we went to a Beach Bums game. Beach Bums are a minor league baseball team here in Traverse City, and went there with a bunch of friends and family. Jim Farley and a bunch of his family was there. Were there. Were. Anyway. And my sister and nephew and some friends from her work, and my mom, my dad, grandma, aunt and uncle. And we watched the Beach Bums get beat by the River City Rascals. I don't know where that's from. River City. I'm trying to think of who that might be or where they're at. I'll have to look that up. But it was a lot of fun. It was a late deal. Went 11 innings, and the Beach Bums lost by 2. The score was 5-7 or something in the end. But it was an interesting game. And then they had a really nice fireworks display, but we didn't get home until almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So I slept in a little bit this morning. Didn't get out of bed till almost 10. It's unheard of. But anyway, it's the 5th of July. And a buddy of mine lives here in town. I played his music before, Keven Reeves. Anyway, he is working on a new album, and he's dropping some singles. And he dropped one called Broken Hearted Man. And I haven't asked him yet if I can play it on the podcast, but I'm pretty sure he'll let me. So I won't release this until he gets back to me on that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play that for you. Kevin was very popular back in the beginning of podcasting when the PodSafe Music Network come out and the PodSafe Revolution. And he had, I don't know, I'd call them hits in the podcasting world. And anyway, he's coming out with his second album. I think the new album's called Headspace. And I don't know when the whole album's going to drop, but he's got this single that just dropped the other day. It's called, like I said, Broken Hearted Man.
I hate how it's turning out. I feel like I'm burning out, and all my dreams fade in decay. I feel like I'm crawling out of a world that is falling out, and I've gone and lost my way. Just when I look behind, seeing the place where I come from, I feel so undermined, being the thing that I've become. Alone in this crowd as I'm seeing the world from where I stand. Say it 1,000 times, is there hope for a broken-hearted man? I wanna break through this underground, see if I can be found, and reach my dream before it dies. Well, maybe I lost my nerve and getting what I deserve, but I've become so paralyzed. Just when I look behind, seeing the place where I come from, I feel so undermined, being the thing that I've become. Alone in this crowd as I'm seeing the world from where I stand. Say it 1,000 times, is there hope for a broken-hearted man?
blueberry.com is the digital media interface for everyone. Consumers, find great content and create a single RSS feed for all your favorite shows. Creators, post your show and get comprehensive stats and easy-to-read reports. Advertisers, access new markets via hundreds of available content channels that reach across all demographics. The Blueberry Network, online at blueberrynoease.com.
And of course, like I said at the beginning, that is Keven Reeves from his new album, Headspace, Broken Hearted Man. And I hope to have Keven on the podcast here. We keep saying that. We keep planning it, and it just never comes together. But one of these days I'll get him in the studio here, and we'll talk about it. Maybe when he releases another single or his whole album comes out, I'll get him on here. But since I'm not generally a music-related podcast, it may be of limited value to him, but, whatever. Should be good. Hopefully it sells well, and I'll have a link, of course, in the show notes to where you can pick that up for 99 cents at just about everywhere. I think he's on CD Baby, Amazon, iTunes, and maybe a couple other places for all I know. I got to look. I picked it up on Amazon MP3 since I'm an Android user, and that just seems to be the easiest way to get it. Either that, I think it might be on Google Play even. If it isn't, I'll help him get it on there. So let's see, not too much else to add here. I think I've gone long enough. I think the original recording there from the road was around 30 minutes, and I'm just about 9 minutes into it here. I don't have any sponsors right now. As I mentioned before in the podcast, I think I am doing a video log, or video blog, or whatever you want to call it, a vlog. That's on my YouTube channel, but also embedded there on MikeDell.com. So if you don't want to miss those, go over and subscribe on the YouTube channel. I'm going to have some video from Ford last week. Of course, I talked about that. I'm going to have some video clips from that and a little bit of commentary by yours truly from the test track. And that should be about it. I do plan on doing a Geek of the North at some point soon. And I'd really like to get that going weekly. Like I said, I think I covered all that in the other recording. It's kind of hard. A couple days ago, I recorded that and never quite got back to it. But anyway, until next time, catch me later.